Is this the defining moment that determines whether Bryce Young remains the franchise quarterback of the Carolina Panthers for the next decade? The Panthers officially exercised Young's fifth-year option, locking him into a pivotal fourth season that functions as a high-stakes audition for a massive long-term extension. This campaign represents a make-or-break junction for the entire organization because the front office has finally surrounded him with a legitimate playoff-caliber supporting cast. And honestly, the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Smash that like button, subscribe, and drop your city below. Let's get into it. Bryce Young is entering a definitive season for his future as the franchise quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, as this fourth year will ultimately determine his long-term viability in Charlotte. Since being drafted, Young has navigated significant challenges while attempting to lead this team. But the urgency surrounding his tenure has reached a fever pitch now that the front office has officially exercised his fifth-year option for the 2025 season. While General Manager Dan Morgan has publicly expressed confidence in our signal caller, the reality is that a massive contract extension remains unearned and will linger over the facility like a shadow until performance dictates otherwise. And that changes everything regarding how we view this campaign, as the pressure mounts for him to move beyond his history of flashes and deliver consistent, high-level football across all four quarters. Many of us remember how well he performed in late-game heroics last season during those 3 comeback victories. Yet, we cannot rely on playing from behind if we hope to be a serious contender in this division. The anticipation among our fan base is palpable because there is a genuine sense that the organization has finally provided a complete supporting cast, including a revamped offensive line and a receiving core that could surprise the league if Jalen Coker and the rest of the group stay healthy. Despite these upgrades, the conversation always returns to the quarterback's individual ball security and his ability to limit costly mistakes that stalled drives throughout his first few years. We know the talent is there, but with the defense positioned to provide excellent field position, the margin for error has vanished entirely. The most surprising reality facing our franchise is that David Tepper and the front office have officially entered a make-or-break cycle regarding Bryce Young by committing to his fifth-year option, while simultaneously demanding a massive leap in technical execution. We arrived at this juncture because the front office recognized that banking on potential is no longer enough to satisfy a fan base expecting consistent success in the NFC South. While Dave Canales has maintained a public stance of total confidence in his signal caller, the reality behind closed doors is that the team is preparing for a future that hinges on whether the quarterback can translate his flashes of brilliance into a full four-quarter identity. And honestly, the historical context of such situations shows that patience in the league is incredibly thin when a high draft pick fails to secure a long-term extension by their fourth season. Last year, Young finished with 23 touchdown passes, a baseline that must be significantly elevated while keeping his interception total under the double-digit mark to ensure we remain competitive against tough division rivals. The coaching staff is clearly looking for a disciplined evolution rather than just relying on the heroics we witnessed during our 3 comeback victories last season. They are prioritizing a balanced attack that utilizes a strengthened defensive unit to provide better field position, reducing the immense pressure that has burdened our offense for years. Management is hedging their bets by surrounding him with a reinforced offensive line and a receiving core that includes the surging Jalen Coker. This is a calculated attempt to isolate Young as the final variable in a championship-quality equation. If the turnover issues persist despite these strategic upgrades, the organization will be forced to reconsider their long-term commitment to the position before the next offseason begins in earnest. For us as Carolina Panthers fans, this upcoming season feels less like a rebuilding project and more like a definitive crossroad for the future of our franchise. The stakes are immense because Bryce Young is now playing for his professional life in Charlotte, with a long-term contract extension hanging in the balance after the team exercised his fifth-year option. This isn't just about individual performance, it is about validating the massive investment we have made to stabilize the most important position on the field. The bottom line here is that our roster depth is significantly stronger than in previous years, particularly with the addition of Rashid Walker and Luke Fortner to anchor the offensive line, while a healthier receiving core allows for more explosive potential. This shift in personnel creates a ripple effect, forcing opposing defenses to respect more than just one target, which should alleviate the burden on our quarterback to perform miracles in crunch time. When we look at our schedule, these upgrades are crucial for early season matchups where setting a tone against NFC South opponents will be the difference between hosting a playoff game and watching from home. If we can lower those turnover numbers and maintain consistent efficiency throughout all 4 quarters, our path to a division title becomes much clearer. The defense is finally performing at a level that gives our offense shorter fields, which means Young no longer needs to force risky throws to compensate for a lack of support. We are watching a team that is finally built to compete at a high level every single Sunday. And if Bryce can marry his natural talent for clutch play with a more disciplined, mistake-free approach, we have every reason to believe this group is ready to surprise the rest of the league. The upside to Bryce Young entering this pivotal year is clear, because he finally possesses a robust supporting cast capable of elevating his production to the next level. With the Panthers' defense appearing as the strongest unit in the NFC South and a revamped offensive line featuring Rasheed Walker and Luke Fortner, Young has the structural foundation required for sustained success. The potential for a breakout season is immense, especially if Jalen Coker and the rest of the receiving core capitalize on their high potential from last year. And this is the part that gets me, as the risk remains centered on his historical turnover rate, which requires a significant decline from his 11 interceptions last season. Without a sharp reduction in backbreaking mistakes, the offense will continue to struggle with efficiency despite the defensive improvements. Analysts around the league are debating whether this year represents a genuine leap forward for Young, or a final evaluation of his long-term viability before the organization looks toward alternative directions. While some observers link the franchise to potential future quarterback prospects, others believe the stability provided by Dave Canales is the key to unlocking his true ability. Personally, I find the narrative surrounding his immediate job security somewhat overblown, as the team already invested in his 5th-year option. The way I see it, the front office is providing him the most stable environment of his career, and now the burden of proof rests entirely on his shoulders to prove he is the permanent solution. If Young can maintain consistency rather than relying on late-game heroics, we will finally see if his talent aligns with our expectations. It is a massive challenge for him, yet he is now positioned to succeed if he simply protects the football and leads the offense with poise throughout the entire 60 minutes of play. This season marks a critical junction for the Carolina Panthers franchise as we look toward the future under head coach Dave Canales. The decision to exercise the 5th-year option for Bryce Young is a clear signal that the organization is committed to seeing if he can anchor this team for the long haul. Here's the thing nobody wants to say. While we all hold high hopes for his development, this upcoming campaign represents the true test of whether Bryce can transition from a player who survives crunch time pressure to a leader who commands the field from the opening whistle. As Carolina Panthers fans, we should feel a sense of cautious optimism. The roster has been bolstered significantly, and with a defense that looks like the best we have fielded in years, the burden on our quarterback should theoretically be lighter. We finally have the pieces in place to support his growth, from a reinforced offensive line to receiving threats like Jalen Coker and McMillan. However, we need to see a drastic reduction in those back-breaking turnovers to justify a massive contract extension. It is not just about raw talent anymore. It is about efficiency and smart decision-making over 17 games. We have watched him navigate difficult scenarios before, but now we need to see him thrive when the game is not necessarily on the line. Do you believe Bryce Young will throw fewer than 10 interceptions during the 2026 season? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Keep pounding. I'll see you in the next one. As we look ahead, the gridiron awaits the next chapter of this unfolding story. Stay tuned for deeper breakdowns, tactical analysis, and exclusive insights as we cover every snap of the upcoming campaign together. Until then, stay legendary.